Let's talk to Jack Elsom, Chief Political Correspondent of The Sun. Jack, you guys have got a big piece of The Sun today about this theme park. We've been having a lot of fun with people suggesting things that you could do in it. How about this from Stephen Poole? Kids on e-bikes and scooters let loose amongst the crowds to see how many phones they can blag. You know, absolutely incredible. I mean, it goes on and on, this story. But actually, I mean, in fairness to Starmer, which I don't say very often, if it does become a £28,000, 28,000 job opportunity and £60 billion coming into the economy, it's the first decent thing the Labour Party's done, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, morning, Mike. Totally. I mean, the Labour government are desperately scrambling around for growth wherever they can find it. And if they find a massive £50 billion injection via a universal theme park, then I think hats off to them. They haven't managed to drive growth anywhere else, really. Obviously, businesses have been suffocated by a massive tax bombshell. And so if Universal want to put their hands in their pocket and put one of the continent's largest theme parks in the middle of Bedford, then so be it. I think it'd be fantastic for the local area. I think they're expecting about 8.5 million visitors in the first year. So, yeah, I think fair play. It seems like a good idea.
I mean, I imagine, like a lot of these things, it's quite a few years off. But I mean, if they are going to start sort of, digging the foundations, as it were, as opposed to fixing the foundations, they'll be starting pretty soon, presumably.
Yeah, I think it's meant to open in 2031. So about 6 years' time, I think we can expect the first rides to go off. But yeah, I mean, Universal seem very serious about it. Obviously, they have theme parks all over the world, but this will be the first one that they build in Europe. And I'm not sure many people expected Bedford to be the location of it, but it'd be great for that local area and great for the rest of the country. And if it drives economic growth, which we're in badly need of at the moment, then all for the better.
Another suggestion I've had from Cliff is, how about you could call it left of centre parks?
Very good, very good. Tell him if he wants a job at The Sun writing headlines, then get in touch.
I'll tell him, absolutely right. Let's talk about your page 10 today, written by Michael Clark, defence expert, all about the Trump sort of trade war with President Xi in China. We just had William Clouston on from the Social Democrat Party, who's a bit of an international trade expert. He reckons that America will win this war.
Well, it almost certainly will, but it doesn't mean that it won't harm the American economy and potentially the world economy in the process. I mean, if you just look at the numbers, the American economy is worth about $30 trillion. Yeah. And China is worth about $19 trillion. Yeah. And then the third biggest economy is Germany, and that's worth about $4 trillion. So it just goes to show the scale, I think, of these two economic superpowers butting heads in this way. But the point which I think Michael Clark makes in his piece is that a byproduct of this trade war could actually be geopolitical tensions. We know that China is eyeing Taiwan. And obviously, if they do make a move on Taiwan, the sort of island near to them, which they've been had in their sights for a long time now, there is no way which any Western power is going to go to war with China over an island like Taiwan. But what we did have, I think, was economic leverage. China is heavily reliant on exports, especially to the United States, to prop up their economy. And if they are now locked in a trade war with America, and they don't have that card to play that they could, impose sanctions or even more tariffs, then they might make a move for it. And then you have obviously China getting its claws into lots of other countries with the Belt and Road Initiative, places in Africa also being hit by lots of Trump's tariffs. They might think, well, sod it, actually, we're not going to do business with America anymore. And actually, all this Chinese cash looks quite appealing.
Yeah, it's true. And I mean, I guess the problem for China will be if they can't sell their goods as cheaply as they used to sell them, that could be a permanent problem for them, because if tariffs even are sort of allowed to be removed from China, at the moment they're going to stand at 104%, I think. I wonder how much of an effect that has on their economy and whether it slows down their ability to make cars, slows down their ability to make many of the goods that they're currently selling to us.
Yeah, well, you're right. I mean, China has had rip-roaring growth in the past few decades because they have managed to very successfully manufacture cheap goods and then export them to Western countries, especially the United States. And if that supply chain breaks because they now have to pay incredible import levies at American companies to import Chinese goods, then it's going to really, really harm the Chinese economy. And while we talk about these two countries as two economic superpowers of the world, America is far, far bigger, and it can definitely afford to take more of a hit than China. And so I think William was right. Obviously, you can't compete with America in a trade war. It doesn't mean to say that it might not harm American consumers as well. People who suddenly find that they've been enjoying cheap Chinese goods for years, and suddenly they're now double the price.
And where does that all leave our Prime Minister Keir Starmer, who's desperately trying not to upset Donald Trump on the one hand, but also wants to try and get a decent deal and maybe reduce the 10% and certainly the 25% on cars back down to zero?
Well, I think what this Chinese row has shown is that Donald Trump is very serious about when he means that if you retaliate to us, then we're going to retaliate straight back to you.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that there's any prospect whatsoever of Keir Starmer imposing retaliatory tariffs, no matter how much he might threaten it. He wants to get this economic prosperity deal over the line. He seems to have pinned all his hopes on it. We understand it's actually sitting on Donald Trump's desk. But we heard yesterday from the US trade representative that Donald Trump, at the moment anyway, is not in any position to be doing deals whatsoever. He wants to stick with the tariffs he's got. Maybe later down the line we can get some sort of deal across. It probably won't completely negate tariffs. It might reduce the 10% base we have at the moment. But I think that he came out a couple of days ago with a big announcement on electric vehicles and how he's going to sort of scrap the fine for each vehicle over the mandate from £15,000 to £12,000. But the problem is that a lot of people in this country just don't want to buy electric vehicles at the moment because there's no infrastructure and there's no appetite for them. So, the car manufacturing industry is going to take a massive blow to this. But you're right, he seems to be carrying on with this softly approach. If we can get a deal, then fantastic. But at the moment, it doesn't look too likely in the short term.
No, sure. Jack Elsom, great to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed, Jack, from The Sun there, talking about the piece on page 10 of The Sun this morning, why the Trump versus Xi trade war will make the world a scarier place, is what it says by Michael Clark.